Hi, Yellow Jacket fans, and welcome in episode 3 of our hell of a podcast with Director of Athletics Ryan Alpert, our monthly tap-in with your Georgia Tech Athletics Director, as we touch base and tackle a lot of the topics around Georgia Tech athletics. And Ryan, good to be with you on what is always a very low-key, laid-back time of year for athletic directors nationwide. It's good to see you again. How are you?
Doing great. How you doing?
Good. Happy holidays. Your holiday, I'm sure, in full swing with the family.
Yeah, we had a great Thanksgiving, so I had about 18 people at the house, and so it was our first time hosting at our new house, and had a bunch of family come in town, and then they obviously all wanted to come in for the Georgia game, and so we hosted them on Thursday, and then went to the game on Friday.
How many turkeys did you have to buy to cover 18 mouths to feed?
More turkey than you know what to do with.
Still have leftovers is what I'm hearing?
I wish. My wife froze some of it, but I can't. We always like to take out some Thanksgiving meals later throughout the year.
Well, good. We are in the middle of holiday season. Just know you can always say Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah around Georgia Tech, but also we accept Feliz Navidad as a proper greeting. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if somebody had tipped you off yet, but yes,
I
Feliz
picked
Navidad.
up on it when you said it, yeah.
Yeah, it's the only time I get to still use my Spanish degree from college is when I say Feliz Navidad. But no, good to be with you here during the holiday season. Exciting month ahead for your Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. But first, let's get down to business because it's been a subject of heated debate these past few days, very sharply divided opinions. And I want to get your take on it. What is your preferred Pop-Tarts flavor?
Ooh. Great question. I thought you were going to go in a different direction with that question, but
had you in the first half.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to give you two.
Okay.
One warmed once we get that championship trophy that I've now heard you can actually toast out of it. The chocolate is my favorite warm Pop-Tart, but the brown cinnamon for cold.
Brown cinnamon, nice room temperature, straight out of the foil. Don't need to warm that up.
That's right.
That's the Ryan Alpert special right there.
That's the Ryan Alpert special.
I love that. Well, we are all going to expand our Pop-Tarts palates on December 27th when your Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets head down to Orlando for the Pop-Tarts Bowl as they take on BYU. This all following a 9-win regular season, number 22 in the final college football playoff rankings. And I know the selection to the Pop-Tarts Bowl capped a very hectic bowl selection process. Not to get too literary, but I'm reminded of the line from Ernest Hemingway's The Sun Also Rises. He was asked, how do you describe bankruptcy? Well, two ways, gradually, then suddenly. And I feel like there are a lot of parallels in athletic directors working the phones and ultimately getting their bowl destination. I do have to ask, what were those 24 hours like from maybe early evening of championship game Saturday on through Sunday afternoon with so much uncertainty surrounding the ACC and its inclusion in the college football playoff and then Notre Dame opting out and the dominoes that would fall because of that? What was it like being an AD having to negotiate and manage all that?
Yeah, I mean, it starts, weeks prior, kind of as the end of the regular season, you're mapping out, did we have access to the CFP when it started to look like after we lost a couple games we were not going to be in the CFP? Then you start looking at the tiered games in the ACC and what our opportunities are and to put our student athletes in a position, one, to go and celebrate what a tremendous season and a great location. So I spent the last couple weeks, speaking with each one of the bowl directors. Some of them are CEOs, some of them are directors of the bowl. And the one thing that I heard from everybody was how much interest they had in Georgia Tech. As you look back at whether it was the Colorado game, Boston College, our away crowds, and even going back to a prior season when we played Florida State in Ireland, our fans travel really well. We try to take over the cities we're going into, and they all of the bowl directors, I think, recognize that. They also recognize what a great team we have, the culture of the program, and so we were a highly sought-after program when it came to the selection process, and really excited for our student athletes to go to Orlando. Probably the happiest of any Yellow Jacket were my girls to be able to go and take in Disney, but not that they were voting the entire time for Orlando in the Pop-Tarts Bowl, but it was it was a stressful couple hours because you always want to know, especially football coaches and programs, they want to start preparing. They want to get then you have travel, airplanes, hotel, rooms, all the things. And so it took a few hours. And I do want to compliment Jim Phillips and the leadership of the ACC in a really troubling day, with a lot of challenges out there to have them navigate and prepare our league for a great postseason. Excited for our opportunity to go and compete.
Did you have like a war room set up on that Sunday with you and your executive leadership team working the phones and trying to separate fact from fiction before ultimately you got that call from the Pop-Tarts Bowl? What was the setup like as it's coming down to the final hours and final minutes?
Yeah, so we had a plan. So they send you these bowl guides, and they're 90 pages each of what days are the events for the student athletes, when do you need to come in, when are the press conferences for the coaches that night. So we kind of knew of the 2 or 3 games that we were up for based on being a 9-win team in the league and being ranked. We kind of had an idea of these are the 2, 3, 4 games that we could play in, and so we had a plan for each one. And as soon as I got the call and we accepted the bid, then we kind of just went and executed that plan and got everything going.
And as a result, Georgia Tech and BYU meeting in the Pop-Tarts Bowl, and that makes Tech and BYU just one of 3 games outside of the college football playoff that pits 2 ranked teams. Citrus Bowl, ReliQuest Bowl are the other. So not only do you have a great bowl destination in Orlando, as your daughters can now testify,
That's right.
but also it's going to be a competitive matchup against a BYU team that won 11 games, runner-up in the Big 12. So it's another great measuring stick for Georgia Tech as well to cap off the season.
Yeah, no, BYU is a great opponent. I think they, of their losses, 2 of them were to Texas Tech in the team playing in the CFP. And so I think from a competitive standpoint, we couldn't have a better team to play against. And then obviously the location, because I do think, it's still how we're giving these student athletes the opportunity to celebrate a great year and in what a great city, and in Orlando with all they have to do. And so obviously the game will be really fun and important, but they'll have a few days to enjoy their teammates and celebrate. For a lot of them, we've got a heavy senior class. And so even though we got to celebrate them, our seniors here in Bobby Dodd a few weeks ago, this will be the last time that some of these student athletes get to play together, and what a great moment to do it.
Got 8 players on the roster who are from the state of Florida, several of whom will be suiting up for the final time in white and gold. I know they'll be looking forward to the trip to Orlando along with the rest of Georgia Tech fans. And for your 2 daughters, just feed them a couple of Pop-Tarts, turn them loose in Disney, and catch them when the gates close.
Merry Christmas.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. You got the whole thing planned out. So, Georgia Tech fans, we look forward to a terrific contingent of Yellow Jacket fans joining us at Camping World Stadium on December 27th. And while, Ryan, it's not mandatory that fans buy their tickets through Georgia Tech, it definitely is beneficial. What would you say to Georgia Tech fans about making sure you purchase your tickets to the Pop-Tarts Bowl through Georgia Tech rather than going through, say, the secondary market?
Yeah, I would say it is mandatory. The only one, no, it is. It's extremely beneficial for our fans to buy through us. One, it allows our fans to sit together and cheer for the Yellow Jackets. 2, we have an obligation to the bowl. Each school that plays in the postseason has an obligation to buy tickets. And then it really helps us as we project out to the future. As bowl directors are looking at, if they're selecting between 2 9-win teams in the future. Just like I mentioned, several of the directors talked to me about our crowd that we had at Florida State, at Colorado, Boston College, even Wake Forest. And so when you have those data points of number of tickets purchased, it really helps you when it gets down to selection, for future years.
And schools have a financial obligation to sell tickets, so you want to make sure that those funds get reinvested into the program as well.
That's right. So you're buying a ticket, you're going to come out and support it, and not only support the team, but you're supporting the athletic department as well.
Well, signing a contract to play in the Pop-Tarts Bowl, not the only contract that you signed this month. Let's revisit the new contract for head coach Brent Key after he led the Yellow Jackets to their best start in 66 years, and a Tech man will remain a Tech man at Georgia Tech. It's not only an acknowledgement of what he has accomplished so far in his 3+ years as head coach, Ryan, how also is this contract almost a statement about how Georgia Tech plans to remain competitive in this new college football landscape?
Yeah, it is. It really dates back to President Cabrera. He was hired 6 years ago and talked about the investment in athletics, wanting to build an athletic department that could complement a world-class education. And I think that, we've done that. When Coach Key was hired 3 years ago, this is our 3rd winning season, 3rd bowl game in a row. And now this was a statement, I think, for the athletic department to say, he's proven himself. I want him to be here. We all want him to be here. And so it couldn't be more excited to keep, Coach Key on our sideline. It was that was a no-brainer from day one. And when I started in July and started visiting with Brent about the program, about what he saw as our opportunities, how we can build a championship level program together, it was clear from day one that he wanted to be here. I didn't cut him open. I thought, he's bigger and tougher than me. That wouldn't have ended well for me. But no, it was very clear through every one of our conversations about how much he loves this place, how much passion and care he has for Georgia Tech. And then we got to a point where we were ready to announce it and celebrate it together and with our fans, and really looking forward to continuing to build our 4th winning season, our 4th bowl game, and continuing to build a championship level program. And that's what he made clear from day one, is he's here to bring a championship to 𝗛𝗑𝗟𝗏, and that's why I'm here, and so couldn't be more excited about our future.
Whether it was just social media spitballing or there was legitimate interest, you had to know that with the success that Brent oversaw this fall, that his name would be bandied about as a candidate for other jobs that came open. The coaching carousel was spinning at warp speed this fall. Just seeing some of the things floated out there, how much did that increase your urgency and your team's determination to get this contract done?
Yeah, I mean, listen, do we monitor social media, and are we in conversations about the national landscape? Absolutely. But I knew in July when I started, watching the program, seeing how, before wins and losses, the culture, the toughness, what the program has been built on, the relationships you could see between the athletes in the locker room, between the coaches, it was clear to me that we have the leader that can lead us into the future. And so our conversations with Brent and team started, really midway through the season about us wanting to continue that relationship, knowing that he was going to be a really attractive candidate out there nationally. And I would say that for any of our coaches, if they're getting national recognition and their names are out there, that means they're winning at a high level and we're being recognized. Now then it's our job to then make it so they want to be here and make it so they know we want to invest in their programs. And that was the conversation that I had with Brent, was where we are today, he's growing with us, he's building this program. And when he brings that championship trophy back to 𝗛𝗑𝗟𝗏, it's going to be from where he took this program 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. I would say, statistically, it was on the lower end, if not very close to, from a P4 level, from what we were doing from an achievement standpoint to where we are now in just 3 seasons. That's what we talked about, was having to continue to invest the financial resources it takes to win at this level, and that we're committed to do so. And that's why I think it all came together, and we couldn't be more excited. And that's why we need more fans to buy season tickets mm-hmm. and come out and support. And I think the atmosphere we had in here for the Pitt game is something we want to have each and every game, with a sellout. Winning at home starts with creating a great home field advantage, and so the first thing we had to lock down was our head coach, yep. And now we're on sale at RamblinRec.com for season tickets, and I want to continue to our goal is to have 5,000 new season ticket holders for next season. So we made our commitment to coach, and we're asking folks to make their commitment and buy season tickets and come out and support. Yeah,
turn that atmosphere from an aspiration into a standard for Georgia Tech. Lastly, on Brent's contract, it does also include continued investment in all phases of the program. Can you shed some light on that as well?
Yeah, I would say, Coach thinks about others first. The first thing, when we talked about building a championship level program, it starts with players, right? Our player acquisition, player retention, revenue share, above the cap strategy. That was priority number one. And then, just like myself, when I'm building out our athletic department and our staff, you have to have great people around you. So he fought really hard for his support staff, his assistant coaches. So those are, and then facilities. We'd start. We're opening the Fanning Center, a brand new football operations building with a training table, new sports performance, new weight room, as well as the 𝗛𝗑𝗟𝗏 renovation. So those are the areas, when you talk about players, staff, and facilities, that he wanted to make sure we were committed to, and that we talked about what we needed to do at each one of those to build a championship level program.
Yeah, that contract also reflects that commitment as well. Not only was there a lot of success on the field this fall, there was also a lot of success on the screen. And when we talk about TV ratings, folks, we're not doing it for vanity's sake. There is now, with the new revenue distribution in the ACC, a direct correlation between a school's television ratings and how much money they receive at year's end from the ACC. And so from that standpoint, it was a terrific year as well for Georgia Tech as far as eyeballs on the screen. And I understand what I have to go through to say that as a radio guy, to laud eyeballs on television screens. But hey, it's great for Georgia Tech, and again, reflective of just how this program continues to trend.
Yeah, I think a winning program drives interest, eyeballs, brand affinity, and so we talk about it a lot. Is when you're winning. I think this year we had over 25 million people watch our games, and only nine of our games were rated through Nielsen. And then you get to our Georgia game at the back end of last year when everybody said, well, everybody watched the 8 overtime game. Actually, we just got ratings from our game this year, and there was more people that watched this year's game than watched last year's game. And I think that speaks to who we are as a program. As we continue to have success, there's more eyeballs, more visibility. It certainly helps the financial side with the ACC distribution to our member schools from that metric. But for Georgia Tech overall, we're talking about website traffic, visibility of the brand, how it helps student retention, how it helps student enrollment, how it helps philanthropy, not just within the athletic department, but the overall institute. And so, we talk about a rising tide raises all ships, and that's what athletics can be. And it starts with football. It's the economic engine of our athletic department, but it really creates the brand visibility and the momentum for the overall institute. And I think the numbers that are coming out from the viewership, the earned media that we're kind of attributing to, taking the earned media of all the viewership that is created through a football season, and if we were to go out and buy that type of advertisement for the institute, I mean, you're talking hundreds of millions of dollars in advertising value.
Ad value equivalency, $145.8 million, which is how much Georgia Tech would have paid for the coverage if you had bought advertising that you instead got through all of those ratings and all of that attention around Georgia Tech football. And when the dust settles, Georgia Tech will place where when it comes to viewership numbers for individual schools in the conference?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think viewership for the overall league, it was an extremely competitive league this year. I think we're projected to finish third or fourth again. And so it's a rolling average. So last year we were the tops in the ACC. I think this year we're top 4 again. So we're rolling off, which would have been a lower year 4 years ago, to really being able to produce on the upper end here the next couple
There you
years.
go. Well, television, it's that new medium. And by the way, you did know that the very first color television college football broadcast was at Georgia Tech.
Really?
80 years ago. They took on Miami of Florida, and it was televised on NBC to 100 stations. Color television was still a very new technology back then. Not a ton of households had color televisions because it was prohibitively expensive, and so was the production costs of carrying a college football game in television. But yeah, I mean, a school renowned for its technology would also usher in color technology as well in college football. So, Georgia Tech's history with the medium of television goes back a ways as well.
You always surprise me with your wealth of knowledge.
If we can't do it on a hell of a podcast,
that's right.
Where can we do it? Let's continue the focus around our fall sports at Georgia Tech, and volleyball just wrapped up another great season. Coach 𝗛𝗟𝗟 took her very, very young team to a 6th consecutive NCAA tournament, and you don't want to take that for granted because she took a team that was filled with so many newcomers, so many youngsters, and then you lose a preseason All-ACC outside hitter a month into the season, Larissa Menges, to a season-ending injury. In spite of all that, her team still heard their name called on Selection Sunday and got to play in yet another NCAA tournament.
Yeah, Michelle has done an incredible job. You mentioned it, 6 NCAA tournaments in a row. It's really hard to make postseason in any sport, and to do it 6 years in a row with the amount of roster turnover that happens year in and year out, to be that type of a consistent winner speaks to who she is, speaks to the program. I think it was one of the youngest teams in the nation, and you mentioned it, to pick up an early injury, and then I think she really got rewarded. I think we had the hardest non-conference schedule in the country, and so she was rewarded by the committee for going out, scheduling really tough opponents, and then actually on selection, or right before Selection Sunday, we had a couple other teams that won conference games that got us a couple more top 50 wins, and I think that really helped us push us into the tournament. And then our performance, we took UCLA, a very well-respected program into a 5th set, and so tough loss for our student athletes, but again, a great year overall, and again, getting to postseason and keeping that streak alive was awesome.
Yeah, really terrific coaching job by Michelle, and the best part is all those young players will be a year older, and they'll still be around wearing white and gold next fall at O'Keefe Gymnasium. Our first time visiting with you since basketball season got underway. Karen Blair and the women, Damon 𝗛𝗏😗 and the men. Your takeaways from what you've seen the first month of the regular season for both the men and women.
Yeah, on the men's side, we got off to a really quick start. Our front court is extremely talented. Our guard play is growing with the game. So we got off to a quick start, taking a few bumps, but got back on the right track over the weekend, and really excited about this team coming together and talking to Damon about what's going on in practice and how hard they're working. So I think we've got some work to do, but excited about it all coming together here as we enter conference play here in a couple weeks.
And then Karen Blair and the women, almost a brand new roster with so many young players and transfers, and they've not been immune to some tough injury luck as well. Got the win on their first home game in 19 days, but was able to outlast a very good Norfolk State team that had gone to 3 straight NCAA tournaments, and her team continues to grow as this season progresses.
Yeah, I thought they looked great last night. Really playing well. You mentioned it, devastating injuries, and for a basketball team, your guard play is really important to be how you set the tone, how you set the pace, how you get yourselves into your offense. And we've had some tough injuries at the point guard position. But Karen's been upbeat, really excited about what she can continue to develop. And as you mentioned, brand new roster, watching them come together. But some injuries that really impacted them early, but was excited to see them play well last night.
And they'll get their ACC home opener at the end of the month, beginning of the new year. But the next men's home game is taking place on Tuesday when they welcome in Marist. And I should note the Marist Red Foxes, Georgia Tech played them in non-conference in 2003-2004. They went to the Final Four that year. They played them in non-conference in the 89-90 season, went to the Final Four, and they beat Marist in the first round of the 1986 NCAA tournament. So oftentimes when the Red Foxes are on the Yellow Jacket schedule, usually it portends good thing, but there is another reason why fans should get out there, because December 16th against Marist, that will be a celebration at halftime for Haynes King becoming Georgia Tech's 4th ever ACC Player of the Year, and that is a celebration all Georgia Tech fans should fill up McCamish and embrace.
Yeah, we're trying to sell out the game, so we've got a ticket promotion, $10 tickets for Haynes number 10. And then our marketing team has come together. Jim Phillips is going to come in as our commissioner to provide and give Haynes the trophy at midcourt. Going to let Coach Key talk to the fans. So one of the things I love about Georgia Tech and our student athletes is how much they love to support one another. If you go to a volleyball game, there's always going to be different athletes from different teams there. Basketball, baseball, and so this is just another great example of us being able to honor one of the best athletes to ever walk on this campus and compete in a Georgia Tech uniform, and to do it at a basketball game, and after being the 4th player ever to get that type of award. And so I'm excited to see our fans turn out and want to sell the building out and support our men's basketball team, but also come out and support Haynes.
And one last chance for Georgia Tech fans to cheer Haynes King in Atlanta on campus at Georgia Tech. Should be really cool. I do have to ask, as athletic director, you're in contact throughout the year with all of your colleagues. I'm sure you've gotten texts or phone calls from your contemporaries seeing and admiring Haynes King and what he's meant, what he's represented to this Georgia Tech program these past couple of years.
Yeah, every AD or conference commissioner and peer that I've talked to always talks about we're all looking for athletes that represent our institutions and our universities in a strong way, not just from a performance standpoint and winning games, but how they carry themselves, how they lead, especially in this transfer portal era. But a young person coming to your campus, buying in and helping a program get built and established and win is something to be celebrated. And that's what, his statistics speak for themselves, but who he has been to this program and to this university is pride building, and we need to celebrate him and look to continue to build more student athletes like Haynes on our rosters. And it's a great example of what you can do, and when you come to Georgia Tech, how we're going to pour into you and the opportunities you have to come have success.
Well, Haynes King and 𝗑𝗣𝗟𝗓𝗓 𝗛𝗏𝗓𝗓, both number 10s that night inside the Campus Pavilion. 𝗑𝗑𝗏𝗓𝗓𝗓 𝗛𝗏𝗓𝗓, by the way, his great uncle is Pele, of course, made the number 10 famous in global soccer. I asked 𝗑𝗏𝗓𝗓, do you wear number 10 in tribute to your great uncle Pele? He goes, no, that was just what they assigned me when I arrived here. Total coincidence.
Oh, we'll take it.
It's an accidental tribute.
Yeah, we'll take it.
And there will be a lot of folks wearing both 𝗑𝗏𝗓𝗓's number 10 and Haynes' number 10. Again, make sure you get your tickets for that game on Tuesday, December 16th versus Marist. Finally, Ryan, it is the holiday season. 'Tis the season of giving, and you want to make sure you can appeal to Georgia Tech fans. That giving also includes some giving to the Alexander 𝗏𝗏𝗏 Fund. This is the fourth quarter initiative. We're getting down to crunch time here, the end of the calendar year. Very important for you to show your support through the Alexander 𝗏𝗏𝗏 Fund.
Yeah, I mean, this is the time of year, obviously, with the tax year coming to an end, but our fourth quarter initiative, our full steam ahead campaign, everything we're doing, it takes resources to win in college sports today. And that is providing opportunities from a scholarship standpoint, investing in our programs, investing in facilities. There's a point multiplier that comes here at the end of the year. I know all of our Georgia Tech fans are extremely smart. I've had a few people say, hey, I'm going to double my gift this year, but don't think I haven't given yet. I'm waiting to get that point multiplier. And especially as we get to a full reseeding at Bobby Dodd after next season, there's never been a time, obviously the success of the program and what it takes to win and compete, we need all that investment, and we're going to take those funds and invest it right back into our programs and into our student athletes. But as we get to the reseeding process that we'll roll out this summer in advance of next season, now's the time to accumulate as many points as you can. Not only, again, year-end giving from a tax standpoint, it's critically important to the success of our programs from a scholarship standpoint, again, facilities, player acquisition, everything we're trying to do to build a championship-level athletic department, we need support.
And take advantage of it and get those year-end tax benefits by giving to the AT Fund by December 31st. Now that we wrap up episode 3 of the Hell of a Podcast with Athletic Director Ryan Albert. Ryan, we will see you and the family in Orlando. And looking forward to a lot of fun and a lot of winning down there with a lot of Yellow Jacket fans as well. Can't wait for that.
That's right. What's your favorite ride?
My favorite ride, boy, it's been a while since I've been to Disney or Universal. But you can't go wrong with the classic, Space Mountain.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, it's the oldest ride, but it is the longest line.
There we go.
There you go. Make sure to like, listen, subscribe, and as always, sting 'em. We'll talk to you next time on the Hell of a Podcast.